Honourable member for Thornhill.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I'd like to start by saying that trust, it is a really, really difficult thing to earn. It is a really, really easy thing to lose. And it is an incredibly difficult thing to reestablish. And what we've heard in this House today, time and time again, from members of the Liberal Party and those who support them at every opportunity, the NDP, is that for some reason, this is a waste of time. This is a waste of House time, or this is an attack on the institution. Is, in fact, Madam Speaker, it is exactly the opposite of that. It is a question of a speaker that has brought us here who has acted in a partisan way, and not just once, not twice, but 3 times. We're here to discuss the partisan actions of a partisan Liberal speaker serving his partisan Liberal boss, aided and abetted by his partisan coalition members in the NDP, occupying a job and a role in this place that is distinctly supposed to be nonpartisan. And since becoming Speaker of this House 6 months ago, you've had, well, not only has he betrayed the trust of this House and members of this House, the impartiality of the position doesn't exist in his world. In fact, I haven't been here very long, but I don't even remember reading in history a speaker that has been so embroiled in scandal after scandal, being chased down the street outside of this place, answering questions for his conduct. It's only been 6 months. If you type in speaker scandal, I think the name of that chair occupant would come up as the first search term on Google. That's where we're at. So let's go back. First, he recorded a video. This is the first of the 3 that I'll talk about, and I'll probably talk about some more because it's not even 3, it's more than that. First, he recorded a video that he played at a Liberal partisan convention while appearing in speaker's robes, while in his office, using speaker resources, using House resources to do that. He praised an outgoing Ontario Liberal leader between segments of 2 former leaders at a Liberal convention. Now, I think that anybody would believe that that was a partisan activity. Then he traveled to Washington, again, taxpayer dime, on the dime of the resources of his office, of this House, used his perch as Speaker to muse fondly about his years as a young Liberal. Also, objectively, a partisan thing to do in a non-partisan job, meant to be the referee of this place, to have the trust of the members, to know that he will act in a manner that will treat every single member of this House equally. So those are 2 instances. Talk about tone deaf. But finally, it's the latest offense, the one that has brought us here today, posting a blatantly partisan fundraising message on a website, personally attacking the leader of the opposition, the same leader of the opposition that just weeks ago he threw out of this place for doing the exact same thing that the Prime Minister did either moments before and moments after. This is, of course, after he threw out another member of the Conservative caucus for asking her to withdraw a statement, which she did. It is in the Blues. We're going to have another probably day where we talk about the Speaker's frank inability to be impartial in his chair. We'll get to that. But on that same week, he's posting an ad, and it's strange to me because I haven't been an MP for very long, and I keep a fairly busy schedule. And the way that it works in my office is that I have a great staff, and they send me a note, and they're like, can you do this? Can you do this time and that time? Can you be here? And I say yes or no to all of these things. In fact, in some cases, my office says yes or no to these things, knowing full well that I would want to do something and knowing full well that it would fit into my schedule. So it is very, very difficult to believe that an ad, a summer evening, with the honorable speaker mentioned who occupies the chair, with event details, a time, a date, a place, wouldn't be vetted by anyone. Now, that doesn't really happen. In fact, when you appear at events, particularly at events where they sell tickets to listen to you, in this case, deliver really partisan messages about the guy that you just kicked out of the House for doing the same thing as the guy who put you in that chair, it would be hard to believe that nobody in his office, nobody in his orbit, he himself wouldn't have known that he's appearing at this place at this time doing this event, that they're selling tickets to hear him speak. So all of that to say, Madam Speaker, that one time is a mistake, and 2 times could be a coincidence, but 3 times is a pattern. And it is a pattern by somebody who has a deep, deep history in the most partisan politics. And you'll hear from the opposition that this is somehow an attack on the character of the Speaker, but this is exactly the opposite of that. This is talking about his role that he has taken on as an impartial referee of this place, one that should treat members, like I said, equally. And this is, of course, after a history. You know, he is the first Speaker to ever have an ethics violation to become Speaker, so that's a historic first. But it doesn't take very much. I wasn't here at the time to go online and see how he reacted to an incident that happened in this place, where the Prime Minister himself elbowed an MP in the chest. He was the first one on his feet to defend that action, to say that that MP's story or version of events was experienced differently or was an overreaction. In fact, when he was asked that today, at the very time that we are talking about this in the House by my colleague and friend from Calgary Nose Hill, he actually denied getting up in his seat, rising to his feet, defending the Prime Minister with an alternative version of events that he put forward, talking about an exaggeration. He actually said at committee today that he didn't say that. Now, which brings me to the NDP. This is, to see a party that once stood for values, that once stood for the working class, that once was in opposition in this House, defend the Prime Minister at every opportunity, rather than somebody in their own caucus. That is the definition of weakness. It is one of their own members who was elbowed by the Prime Minister, and there's videos of it. This is not something that we are sort of embellishing in the House. You can see it on a screen. And defending the guy who got up on his feet to tell people that there was a different version of events or that she was exaggerating. What's worse is that this is the Speaker that adjudicates the harassment policy in this House. So how on earth would any member of this House feel comfortable, feel like they can get a fair trial with somebody who was up on his feet to defend the Prime Minister before even seeing the tape, telling the member that she experienced it differently, or that it was an exaggeration, or that she somehow dove as if it was a World Cup? I don't know what the terminology used. It was just blatantly weird. Bizarre. It was bizarre. Some would call it wacko. Some would call it wacko. But this is what we're here. This is what we're here to talk about today. We're talking about a man who occupies an office that should be impartial. He has not done so. If he had even a modicum of integrity in this place, he would resign before I encourage members to vote him out.